The Roland SP-404 Mark II works with pretty much anything. Today I'm going to be combining it with a pocket operator, but before we get into that, today's patron shoutout goes to Fusion Breaks. Thank you so very much for the support. Let's get started. So I first got my hands on the SP-404 Mark II about 2.5 years ago. A lot of people were recommending that I checked it out, so since I had just started working with Zounds.com, I reached out to them, asked if they'd loan me one. Even though I wasn't really too into it, they sent one out, and I tried to make a video with it. I really just did not get along with it. The open-endedness of it really threw me off. There was no, like, definitive workflow, really. It was just empty pads that you could sample to. That was pretty much it as far as I knew. So I set it aside for a few months, and it wasn't until I went to KnobCon in Chicago that I saw Dustin from Roland, who actually had a 404 Mark II set up with his own personal modular rig, and he was playing some backing tracks synced up with his modular rig's sequencer, and then he was also running the modular rig through the 404, processing some effects with it. And I was like, oh, that's a really interesting way to use that. I would have never thought of doing something like that. And at that point, he said, yeah, there's really no limit to what you can do with the 404 Mark II. It's just pretty much up to your creativity. So I looked more into it, and the first thing I started doing was using it in my live rig as sort of a multi-sample player. You can put whatever samples you want on any of these pads. You get up to 10 banks of samples per project, so that's 160 samples per project. And so I mapped these all to keys on my keyboard and then used it with a looper, and it was like a completely different device. And that's when I finally tried it again as just a sampler, and it kind of clicked. You can use this thing with just about any piece of gear out there to make music. And today we're going to demonstrate that with the PO32 Tonic from Teenage Engineering. This is a little $100 pocket operator. It's a great drum machine, and so it's easier to follow along with. I've just got this on the stock default drum kit that the Tonic comes with. And the goal of this video is just to show you how easily you can use the 404 to finger drum, to make a couple patterns, and just kind of have fun. So first of all, I'm going to clear out this project here. I know there's nothing on project 3 that I care about. You get 16 projects, by the way, which is also really cool. So now we've got an empty project, and I'm just going to sample the kick drum to pad 13 down here. So I hit record, hit the pad. It's now waiting for me. I could set a measure length here if I want, but I'm just going to go for a one shot. There we go, hit the pad. There's our sample. If I turn off gate, now it is a proper one shot. Cool. There we go. We can affect it. We could resample that if we wanted, but for now we're just going to leave it just like that. Now let's get a snare drum. That works. And by the way, you can turn off the click as well. How about a hi-hat? We'll close it up. Now we'll open it up. Okay. Oh, turn off gate on that one. What if I want the closed hi-hat to close the open hi-hat? Well, we can get there just by using mute groups. So I've got 8 different mute groups to work with here, and you can just put multiple pads on a mute group. There we go. Just like that, we're done. So just like that. Cool, now they mute each other. Now I could actually go in and sequence these into a pattern if I wanted, or I could simply record a beat with these to a new pad. So I'm going to hit resample here, and we can select our length here. So I want 2 measures, I think. And you can also change your time signature, which is really cool. Now I'm going to pick a pad to sample to. We'll just go right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that wasn't my best work, but if we hit this pad, we'll find that we have our pattern we just played. I can turn on loop and turn off gate. There we go. Since we quantized the length, it's just going to loop perfectly. We can send this whole pattern to an effect too. And let's say we really like how that just sounded. Well, we could actually resample it with the effect, or we can do something that is so cool, we can actually hit Mark right here under Sample Edit, and the SP-404 Mark II has been listening the whole time to what we've been playing, and if I hold Subpad, it'll play that back. We can actually scrub through this here. We can use the main encoder to zoom in. We can change our start and end points. You can get really precise. And we'll take the end as well. We'll zoom out. So nice. You can zoom in and just dial it in exactly where you want. It blows my mind how much they were able to cram in here. People complain about menu diving and stuff like that. But for the just basic features of, you know, using it to sample, resample, put stuff on the pads, it's so simple. Okay, now I go menu, and we go truncate, and then we have our sample, and now we can put it right here on pad 2. Okay, turn off gate, turn on loop. Now, I didn't time that perfectly in my cut. However, we could actually resample it with a proper 2-measure length. I don't really think we need to for this video. And don't forget, we could also put these on a mute group too, and they could be a separate mute group. We could go mute group J. So now check this out. And right there, I'm also doing a little live finger drumming with some effects. And what's cool is you actually get multiple effects buses. You get 2. So you can have different samples sent to different effects. What if we want to do something melodic, though? Let's find something that could be melodic here. That sounds like it could be melodic, yeah? Let's sample this. We'll put it right here. Okay, so now if we go pitch and speed, you can see that we can kind of stretch it out. And there's other ways that we could stretch out the sample as well. We do, if we hold Shift and go here, we actually have an envelope setting too. And with a press of Shift and button number 4 here, we can just play it chromatically. And again, I don't want to get into all of like the super deep nitty-gritty stuff. I just want to show how versatile this can be just right off the top. Let's find something cool. How about this Juno chorus? Now check this out. We can actually resample this. So now let's resample this. Now if we come out, we've got it again right here. We can go to pitch and speed and drop it even lower. Cool, now we've already got that chorus on it, so we can play this chromatically. And we could put more effects on this. Like, there's a nice cloud delay. And don't forget, we could be sampling these sounds that we're making to pads. We could also go back with the skip back sampling and, you know, do it retroactively too. So now let's resample. We'll go pad 8. Okay. Now we're done. And now obviously it didn't line up perfectly because I played everything in. What if we want to sequence something? Well, for that we can go to Pattern Select. And from here, we can record into a pattern. So I want this first pattern to be 2 bars long, And I want to have both my drums and that pattern that I just recorded in there. We'll see how it lines up. We can also adjust our quantize, the grid, things like that. But one thing we do want to adjust is down here where it says real time. If we hit remain, it's going to go to TR rec. And now we can simply just step sequence things in, which is really cool. So I hit record. You can see the step sequencer is running. If I hold subpad, that lets me see my samples. So I'm first going to pick the drum pattern that we got there. I'm going to put that on step 1, and it's going to go through here. I do need to turn off loop for that sample. Forgot about that. There we go. Now it's looping. Now I'm going to hold subpad and click on pattern 8 or pad 8 and put that on beat 1. Now if I hit exit and I'll turn off pattern mode, we do need to turn off gate for that pattern or for the sample we made there for a little bass line. Shift and exit, by the way, is sound off. If we go back to pattern 1 though, here we go. There we go. Now we're just jamming. We can then, copy this pattern if we want, and we could make some adjustments to it. So I just hit copy, pattern, destination, copy again. If I hit rec and hit the pattern that already has something in it, we can now edit the existing playing pattern. So let's put a drum fill. We'll go to our second measure, which tells us right there. By the way, you can also see your sequencer running. We're going to put 4 snare drums at the end. There we go. Just like that. Now we've got 2 different patterns. Switch to the next one. Here comes our drum fill. Of course, I butchered that, but that's okay. So as you can see, the SP-404 can easily work with something like a pocket operator. This was just, barely scratching the surface. If we wanted to, we could sample way more sounds. You can just endlessly resample things, keep pitching them down, keep playing with effects, resampling with effects. Like I said, we've got multiple effects buses as well. This thing also has a tone generator in it, which is crazy. So you can make your own synth sounds if you want. Like if we wanted to supplement that bass line, you can also run a guitar or a bass guitar into it and sample that and affect that. It's also got a vocoder built in. There's just so much here. And I've recently seen these on sale for $450 US. If you're unaware, here at Freebeat, the channel considers anything under $400 US to be budget. So this is so close to that budget category. I actually saw one a couple weeks ago for $300 US on eBay. I'm sure it's not there anymore, but I regularly see them used for about $350 to $400 US, which is just incredible value. The 404 is an insanely versatile piece of gear. It can be intimidating because of how open-ended it really is. But once you start to wrap your head around how it might work for your workflow and how you want to work with it, it's going to become pretty indispensable in my opinion. This thing always is nearby when I'm working. Lately, I've really been using it hooked up to my digital piano and playing passages into it and experimenting with songwriting that way. I've got a video coming out using this with the Polyend synth, probably in just a couple weeks here as well. It's just a monster and so reasonably priced. It's been a while since I've talked about it, but I do just want to give a couple thumbs up to the SP-404 Mark II. I do hope you found this video informative or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.